David and housekeeping Alex and Jeff.
Welcome to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, insiders? We are ready for a lively show. We got lots of great topics. We got lots of great events coming up, some exciting things that just happened, and some really cool, some cool things that we are going to, maybe we're to speculate, but maybe just, envision. Maybe we'll put some things out there in the universe and maybe they'll come to life, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys are in the comments watching, let us know. Comment, tell us who's watching. What are you up to right now? What was your favorite thing that you learned from the weekend? And also share. All right, share. I'm sharing right now as we're speaking, but for you guys, this weekend is a big weekend. Okay, so we have for the past 2 months we have been sharing about KTOC Nationals, and man, if you see at the corner over here, they've been a sponsor of our show, and this is the big weekend. This is the big weekend for KTOC. KTOC is one of a lot of people's favorite tournaments, right?
This has been
out there.
That has definitely been a thing.
And man, it's been a great event. They're always trying to grow not just their event, but the sport, and also trying to be very inclusive. Like they have divisions for all different types of Chinese stylists. They really bring a lot of Chinese martial arts to their event. You have a lot of Taekwondo and Tang Soo Do stylists there. You have definitely the traditional karate there. They have like the what people call the flag kata, where they watch them go head to head and then choose red flag, blue flag. That's what a lot of people call it, right? So
what's it actually called?
I mean, it depends on where you're at, but that's I think what it is on certain flag kata.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just call it head to head, but yeah, the event is in I say New York City, but it's. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I have this right. Sue and Rick. Yes, a lot of creative and extreme as well. Of course. It's just overall great martial arts tournament. Can you put in? Yes, Queens. There we go. Queens, New York. Put the location there, Sue, if you can. So Queens, New York, big event. And I tell you what, like some of my favorite moments there have been like seeing people from the past, right, that I haven't seen in a long time. Because again, I grew up on a team with people from New York and Maryland and Philadelphia. So it's always great to see like a Frank Jones in the building, Akin Williams, seeing legends that I grew up looking up to like Diego Lopez and Joe Rivera, seeing, Fontanez, seeing all those guys, York College in Queens, New York. So going to be a big event. It's been there for a long time. It's always a great location. One of the things that I like about it, yeah, of course, Jai Tension. One of the things I like about it is that, right, is they will give someone like, say, okay, we want Jai to run our fighting. We want, let's say, Joey Castro to be involved in helping our traditional kata. We want to have this person that's involved in running this, right now they're a part of USA Sport Karate, so they're going to have lots of great coordinators and competitors and school owners and referees there from USA Sport Karate. It's always also one of the first qualifiers for WKC USA. So that is a great way. And here's the thing. Works out great because guess what? Next year, WKC is in Niagara Falls, right? So you guys want to go ahead and get qualified so that way you can go to nationals in Detroit and make the USA team. this is a great one for you. So everybody in New York should be there. Not just the city area, that side, but also upstate and everywhere as well. So
I've mentioned this before that, having someone like Jotty Tension run your men's fighting, like Jotty runs a really good ring. He really does. So, but like that just brings credibility all around. Like having someone like that as like your center referee. Like there was a division one time. It was like a men's creative form division that I was in. And here were the referees. There was three judges for this men's creative form division. I know this is a different topic, but somewhat close. Center referee was Charlie Lee. And the corners, because they were injured, they weren't competing, were Matt Emig and Daniel Sterling.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing forms like creative or extreme, and that's your lineup, like you're like, all right, well, whatever. You can't get that, right?
Yeah.
Because that's literally the best that you could pick, right?
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing having Jotty Tension as your center referee. Like he's gonna make sure that if the other refs are gonna be in line, like he's gonna kind of coach them up if they need to be. But when you got someone like that, like the rest of them kind of want to be on their game. You know what I'm saying? So that's awesome.
No, it's always awesome. And the thing is, every time I've been there, it's been a huge event that they get ran and done in one day, right? And so the coordinators have to be, on their game, right? In the past, I've seen, like John Chung there helping with that, Mike Conroy helping with that, so many different people there helping, coordinating, pushing, not just pushing it to go, but like making sure that people are happy and having a good time, So this year, sir.
What's your thoughts on that? On a tournament of this size and stature, doing it all in one day? Because people are still getting there Friday. They're still going to be hanging on Friday.
Yeah.
And they're still going to be kind of trickling around on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen. But what's your thoughts versus doing a Friday, Saturday thing? What are your thoughts and feelings?
So for me, the Friday gives me some wiggle room to make sure that Saturday is not going to be super long, right?
Sure.
But I usually most tournaments that do Friday, Saturday also either have a finals or there's something like that, right? So if you're going to do a full day and a finals, that's one thing. I don't know. I'm always indifferent on it. I've always thought about, I just go back and forth. Like, I think, hey, maybe we should, they should try it all in one day, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to have a certain amount of rings to be able to do that. You can't do it all day with 8 rings. You have
to be able to have the manpower.
9 rings. Yeah, you have to have that manpower to be able to make it work, And there's also just certain things within your rules too that make sure that it works,
Yeah, Andrew, you're right. NASCAR did used to do everything in one day for most of their events, but you're right. They ran super long. Right. And even some of the bigger ones, like US Open, was notorious for being like ridiculously long. Not that they're like super short now, but there was somewhere. I remember I kind of was talking to Larry Carnahan, and he's like, they better get their act together, or we got to do something. Which is kind of like, it's the US freaking Open. Right. What does that really mean? I don't know. Right. But
I'll tell you what, man.
But it's a nice change of pace, right?
Yeah.
To just say, like, you know what? We're towards the end of the year, right? Let's do something a little different. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I'm changing lanes, but I'm same kind of thing. Saturday was my last wedding I DJ'd for the year. Now the rest of the guys, they've got some all the way through till New Year's Eve and beyond, right? So I'm not doing any others. And there's so many things that I'm like, you know what? Let's do something a little different. And I almost got a little, was starting to get a little too much with that one of my guys, Matt, he was like, hey, rein it back a little bit, Alex. So, which was good because it's like, but it sometimes it's a breath of fresh air so that you're not just used to the same old monotonous thing. All right, this is what we do. All right, who ordered Domino's? Right? Let's change it up a little bit. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, Sue said people love coming sightseeing. So, guys, this is a tournament, especially you guys on the East Coast. Go ahead, get in the car. That's what I did several times. We used to do road trips. Me, Gina, and Sean Elliott. We would just go to New York and go to tournaments. Go to Maryland. Go to Philly. Go to tournaments, and it was a lot of fun. And it's a great event to go to. So. Great competition in forms, weapons, and fighting. And if you've never been to like a New York tournament,
get it, Andrew.
Like just go and just watch. I mean, even if you don't want to compete, go and watch and just feel that energy of a New York tournament, especially for fighting. It's just a different level, man, and it's intense and it's fun, and it's just something about those events up there up north, man. It's intense, and there's some local rivalries between schools, and you feel that intensity, man. And I love it. It's crazy.
So you mentioned something that I'm like, it kind of perked my ears, and I'm like, ooh, what is this like? So when you said like, we just drive, like, yeah, you're close enough proximity that driving's not completely ridiculous. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. But that's
me. No. I don't really. No, I'd rather fly to New York City.
But okay. But I've never driven to New York City, so I don't know. But I imagine that is not an enjoyable experience for someone who's not used to that, right?
Right.
Like I'll tell you this, like Chicago, I don't have a problem with Chicago. When that first couple of years I was here, I had a problem with Chicago. I wouldn't drive. I would just take the train. I'm not even kidding you. I would take train and I would take cab everywhere. This is before Uber was massive, right? So anyway, but then I'm like, I don't want to be restricted to that, so I'm gonna drive. I'm just gonna get used to it, and so I'm used to it, so it's not that big a deal. But parking, I hate. If I could, if I go somewhere and I'm gonna be somewhere, like I will just valet if possible. Like I don't care because I'm like, I don't even know where where are you gonna be? Like you'll park somewhere, and you're 7.5 blocks from where you gotta go, right? So
that's one thing that's nice about this tournament is that there is parking, and like that always worries me too. Going to tournaments in Philadelphia, going to tournaments anywhere, is that there is parking available right there at York College. So that's nice.
That's nice then. That's good. Well, look at everybody else is chiming in about where they've traveled to.
Yeah.
What's the longest that you've done? So look, Andrew saying 8 hours. Joey Perry said he did 13 hours.
Yeah. So congrats to ProMac guys. ProMac had their national championship this weekend. So congrats to them. They had it in St. Louis. He said, yeah, people were driving for 13 hours. And they doubled their attendance from last year. So that's huge in 13 states. So keep up the great work, ProMac. You guys are doing great things. I know a lot of people from Virginia drove all the way there. So let's see. Brett's saying this is the only second time that he's drove into NYC in his life, and he always takes a train from Jersey. It's 8 hours from Ontario. Let's see. Oh yeah, we drove all the country to Portafly. True. I mean, the one I told you about, fly from Buffalo and yes, JetBlue is a great airline to get, especially for Buffalo. Any flights from Buffalo. Unfortunately, I've been there a lot for Buffalo.
You know what? You just brought some.
The one that I was talking about. Hold on, was like Butch Marks and Casey Marks driving from North Carolina back in the day. Their mom driving all the way, and I think Gary Wall was in there too, from North Carolina to Denver, right? Which is just insane, right?
What?
Yeah. They did that. Now I think one year they drove to California too. That's what was just nuts. Like, yeah, but I know Denver was, yeah.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Furthest,
Florida to New York. Yeah, that does seem kind of.
the furthest I've ever done is I went Minneapolis to Fort Lauderdale. That was a long one. All right.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's very long. All right.
See, that's where I'm very blessed to be right in the middle
You,
because
but even
I
then, you were like, I ain't driving to Fort Lauderdale.
right. No, I'm not driving
I
Fort
went,
Lauderdale.
I went from all the way up there.
Yeah, I'm not doing that, especially not by myself. Yeah, that's nuts. Um,
That's what you do when you're
the
21.
furthest,
Ain't nobody
yeah,
got no money, so you just pack a bunch of people in a van, and you're like, "We'll figure it out."
furthest I've driven is Texas, like Dallas Fort Worth from Virginia,
Oh,
and that's uh, it's supposed to be like 19 hours driving, but it ends up being like 21, 22. And then you have New Orleans was always
how'd this end
an
up to be a road
interesting.
trip podcast?
Yeah, I know. I mean, just the way it is, but that's what we do. All right, so let's go
This
to the
is
next
true.
part. So, congrats to Joey Perry and the whole group, the whole team, ProMac.
Yep.
Great job, guys. We'll add some more
Yes.
things too. Put in the comments some of the big things from the weekend. Also, USA Sport Karate doing great things. They had tournaments over the weekend, and this weekend is one of their biggest ones. Last year was I believe, the first year with KTOC, so it's going to be great. And you guys can share in the comments what are some things you're looking forward to of that. All right, so we also have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
As
we got
far
some
as
things. We
this
got some topics.
this weekend, man, was a crazy weekend. As there, we talked before about a tournament that we found out about in September that was going to give away $45,000. They had, so congrats to the 15K winners from the Battle of Martial Arts. This was in Fort Lauderdale. The event was at the same place that they hold the AAU Nationals for karate and taekwondo.
Yeah.
It's a great Broward County Convention Center, great location. They had a fitness expo there and then a martial arts tournament inside of it. So congrats to the 15K winners. So here's the deal. $15,000 went to Bailey Murphy for winning the men's grand. Give him a round of applause. $15,000 went to Team KTOC member Paola Francesca. So congrats to her. And then Diego DG went from, he won the weapons grand, 5,000. He won the forms grand, 5,000. And then they gave him another 5,000 for winning both, because what they were going to do was the weapons grand and the forms grand were going to go against each other for an extra 5. He didn't have to do that because he already won both. So 15 for 3 different people.
That's nuts.
Congrats. Yeah, I mean, just, that's an awesome thing for those. And really, in a lot of ways, those are some of the biggest payouts we've heard of in history of our sport, right? So,
well, it's interesting
yeah.
when we talk about that. So I want to at that I want to segue to something right now, and then we'll go right back.
Okay.
So it was so funny. I mentioned this because I like talking and having conversations with legends. There's some irony right now. Sport Karate Legends is chiming in, right? I like having lots of conversations and just picking their brain, and we're talking. And like I mentioned, I spent a lot of time at the Diamonds right next to Anthony Price, and he loves to talk about karate, and I love to listen, and I love to talk about it as well. So it was very complimentary on some of the guys here on their talent and their skill. And he says, like, some of them, it's not necessarily just like toughness they need to pick up on. Sometimes it's just like a different culture. You don't need to hug and kiss everybody, but he's like, man, their skill is, they can do something else. And he goes, I'm telling you this, I wouldn't want to fight in this era. He goes, don't nobody make no money. And he and Terry Kramer right next to each other, and they were laughing. He goes, yeah. And both of them were like, they don't make nothing like what we used to make. And I'm over here like, no lies are being told. But doesn't that suck?
Well, I'll explain why it wasn't supported there. It's a pretty easy thing, but I'll break that down in a little bit.
But like, to look at that, just like, all right, 40 years ago, you guys were making more money than we are today. And I will make an argument that the skill level is better today. There's some things that are that were better then. Sure, there's quite a few things, and I want to get into some of that if we have time. But that bothers me. But there are answers why, but not today. When you're giving out $15K for the final champ for each of them, that's crazy. So this is very good. I'm sorry. Where were you about to go, Jeff?
Well, all right. So there's that. So Andrew's saying his guess is that most were skeptical about it because the amount seemed unreal.
I
Yes,
was
and-
as well.
and
I
a
didn't
lot of
think it was going to be real.
like, listen, I had my ticket ready to go. I ended up going to a soccer tournament for my son instead, which ended up being the right move. But you know, but there's that. There's all right, seems like they should. If you pull that much out of a casino, they tax it. Yeah. He's talking about is prize money tax? Yes, it is. All right, it's sponsorship.
Cash prize is a thing of the past. That doesn't
City
happen
and
anymore.
A&P money or money from the Fitness Expo budget to run that they receive and just gave away. So yes, they had a big sponsor. Builders Insurance was that. From what I hear, I believe it's $1 billion company owned by a martial artist. But also you have that Fitness Expo that was being put on by it. It was in their budget to put all of this on, right? I don't think the martial arts side got finalized until about the end of August. So that was why, people just found out about it maybe 2 months before. The other thing is, and this is where I go with this, when you have that much money and you get everybody hyped about that much money, but you're only giving it to 3 people. So that is where I think, okay, well, no one's heard of this tournament, what judges are we going to get? What are we looking at here? And I'm going to spend, especially if I'm going to fly all the way down there for just the hope that Bailey Murphy's not there. There is people who think that, right? Which we know he's going to be there. He's living in Florida now, and he sees that he's going to go.
Matter. What else? And I don't want to make this sound bad, but like this is what Bailey does.
Right. This is what he does.
What else did you think he was going to do?
Right. And that's true. For BJJ Grand, they gave 1,000. So, I mean, that's crazy. But what I'm saying is that, so it's a big risk. That's why you saw mostly the Forms competitors that were there were all from Florida. Alex and Haley were there, but they were doing a seminar that weekend. He was up visiting. So it kind of, they heard about it and let's go. The only one I saw that traveled was
they didn't compete because they were doing a seminar.
No, they ended up competing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying they were in that area. Is what I mean.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And yes, the men and women were combined in everything, all the divisions, all the grands, everything. So, so there's a lot. But again, to me, take this 45,000, right? And okay, if you could say still give 10 to the winner, but use that other 5 for runner-ups or maybe even teams or something else, or give division money, right? And then what you do,
that's the only thing I would do.
You're going to actually create more options for people. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to go there. It's not all of a risk, right? Maybe. For those guys that live in that area, like Luca, DJ, I mean, dude, they live around there. It's fine. Rashad, they live there.
All right, but let's look at this though. 45 grand.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that the Bat of Atlanta gave out more than 45 grand.
Oh, overall.
Yeah.
Carolina said they did have division money. Wow. No one saw any of that. The only thing ever advertised was the 15K.
Right.
So and I never saw any of that. And no one has said that they had division money. So that's crazy. That was
division money on top of this. Wow.
Yeah. So there was more. That's a whole another thing. But no one knew that. Everyone just knew it was 555, right? And again, Carolina, congrats to DG for not only winning, he won everything. I mean, he beat a lot of top people like Haley, Rashad, Alex, Luca,
He was it.
Roberto, all these guys. So actually the amount of it was not why would money be in the rules though, Carolina? That it would be on the advertisement for like the prize thing. But okay, that's fine. Just seems kind of weird. But yeah, so what was the runner-up money is what I just wanted since
I would like to know what the division money was and what the runner-up money was. But what I was trying to, what I was getting at when you were saying you'd like to see it, the money spread out.
right.
I actually, I mean, I guess like I was gonna say I'd like to see division money, but if they're saying they did division money and they did this, then no, I'd
Yeah.
like to keep it like this because, like I was saying, like take another one, Amerikick or the Battle, U.S. Open. They probably paid out way more than 45,000. Right? I don't know if way more, but I bet you they paid out more. But nobody's really talking about it because
$50 for second place.
that's a slap on the face. Don't give me money if you're going to do that. All right.
So
But anyway, but wait. Let me get to this first.
Okay.
But the point is that we're talking about this event because they didn't splice it up so much, and they were just like, here, this is what we're giving out. You guys want to win this. I do think that there should be a division grand prize. Like if your division costs you $100 to compete, you should get $150 at least. Like you should win $150 before you from there. All right. Like
no,
25 years ago, we were winning 100.
Because here's the deal. When I looked up the thing, the rules were none. There was almost no rules when I looked it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Now again, that was probably 3 weeks ago. Or maybe a month, maybe it was longer, maybe it was 2 months ago. But when I looked it up, there wasn't any rules on any of that. So
let's go back.
Let's
also go back 20 years. I remember having this conversation with the great Jerry Fontenez, right? And so many people discount and what he says and they poo-poo what he says because he's so out there and he's so animated and he's so excited. And yes, what he says it like this could be the only way. And obviously I'm telling you the right thing. And sometimes that turns people off. But he's right a lot of times too. Right. So he was talking about, this is when the super fights were starting to become a thing. Right. And he was like, okay, cool. We're going to do this. And what Jerry thought was going to happen is that they were going to pay like just $5,000 to the winner, whether it be the Battle or the Open or the Rolex Challenge or the Diamond, right? Here you go. You're getting this. But instead, it was like, no, we're going to make this separate division, right? We're going to make this separate division. And then they'll want to come to, let's just call it the Diamonds. We'll just say this, all right? They'll want to come to the Diamond Nationals because we have this separate division. Right. Like, well, what is that? It's the super fights, right? So then they're competing at the Diamond Nationals to do the super fight, to do like a separate tournament, essentially. Right. And he's like, well, why don't you just put that money towards the tournament and just make them compete at the tournament, right? And then now you don't have this separate, like there's no point in having this separate division. If you want to award this, then let's just make this the rules, right? And just do that, right? So I actually think he was right. And we do that. If you want to win, here, our tournament is doing this today. Awesome, right? Next year, buckle up. This is what it's going to be. And I hope more tournaments, they catch on to it. Now, this one did it the right way. They didn't go in debt to figure it out and like cross your fingers that enough people bring their teams. Like, no, they got a legit sponsorship that's not just going to be a flash in the pan. It's going to be there for a while. Right. This is the only way you do it. You do business to business, not business to customer. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a B2C guy, right? I'm a business to customer guy. That's what I do. But I also could not, I don't want to say I discount myself and say I couldn't, but I don't have a plethora of experience getting massive sponsorships like this. So I understand how difficult that can be.
No, it is difficult. Yeah. I've been a promoter. It's very difficult, but
it's the only way to do it.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, I love it. I think, that's great. So technically you're saying, so like Diego won $15,200. Okay. Was there runner-up money for the grands too? That's why I didn't know. I didn't see any of that on there.
$200 is what he tipped out the valet.
Yeah. I mean, and the
You
thing
want
is,
$15,000 cash. You didn't tip your valet $100. Like
honestly, it's not a
guy.
hard flight to get to. Like Fort Lauderdale it's not that expensive. There's a lot of good ways that this time of the year was expensive for hotels, I believe. I know when I looked at hotels,
I'll tell you that.
But the flight was not like you could find a flight for like $100, $120 from here, easily. Okay, no runner-up money for grands. Okay, so they were giving and okay, you're giving divisional money. I would just say that if that, because again, like I mean, I'm glad you won 15K, but again, if you're gonna get 5K for that, 5K for that, keep that, and then use that other 5K for runner-up or make the divisional money bigger, right? Or also split the male and female, at least in the divisions. If you want to make the grand together because you're giving away that big, okay. But maybe split that up some so you share, I don't know, but I mean, I just think there's ways to grow on it. I think promoting it wise, yeah, probably could do a little bit better. But it seemed like from whatever you said, it was a good event. I think also too for guys that are not from that area for forums, you don't know what judges you're gonna get, That's a good one, Sam. He's gonna use it for all of his classes for junior year. It's true. It's true.
You better make sure you get a good investment on that one, man.
And 10K just for the winner. You're right. You're right. For me, I'm a big stickler on we're the only sport where only one person wins, a lot of money, like that's to me is what holds us back from, people say like making this a profession or whatever, or making it something that you can make some money off of when only one person wins. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yes, Jeff, but then at the same time, if you start taking that money and you spice it up enough, then it's not big enough. Then there's not really a draw to be like, all right, let me go. All right. Here's an example. All right. We think competing for $1,000 or let's double what
honestly,
an overall
we say 2,000, we're like, oh, this is big. Right?
Let's double it and let's say it's $2,000. Okay.
But now, there was an equality of fighters, sport karate legends. Like people, honestly, here's the thing. When you hear something like that, most people would say, well, I'll just spend my money on an event I know all the top people are going to go to, like the Battle of Atlanta, like the Diamonds, like I'm going to go to, they would probably really go to Irish Open, right? So you can't just think that it's about, oh, everyone's going to show up, or whatever. I mean, I can tell stories about which I share in our fantasy group about us going to a tournament where they were giving away $500 for every division. Okay. And we got there and they changed the rules to where you had to at least have this many people in the division for this and that and this and that. And then
if that would have happened for this weekend, we would have been like, okay, this checks out. We've seen this story written a few times.
Yep.
But they didn't.
Yep. Right.
But
no.
So when you're saying though, Jeff, when you're saying we're the only sport that doesn't spread the love, all right, that doesn't, share the love with everybody.
And so it needs to be where not just one person didn't lose all their money, when we can.
I disagree with you though. I'm going to disagree with you.
So golf, tennis, all these, you get in a certain level, you make money. You don't, you lose. That's just part of it, right? So.
Well, yes, but there has to be a big enough pool for it to matter. All right. So like, here's an example. Okay. Let's say we double, let's say whatever.
Right, everyone knows that we're not a professional sport, but if you want it to at least be where it's a decent hobby,
give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Like freaking paintball is making, they're giving away a lot more, right?
But there has to be, let me show you. Okay. So talk to this fighter. All right. And she's really freaking good. Okay. Like she's really good. Right. And she knows who some of the top fighters are. And she fought with Morgan before, did not win, but like she could score. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, and like she had fought somewhere and like did really well. And I'm like, you could win the overall. Like you could go out there, you could win yourself some money. And so then she's like, well, what does the grand champion win? I'm like, $1,000. She's like, that's it? Like the whole weekend? The whole weekend is gone and you get $1,000? Like, and she even said this. She goes, would you even make any money after
Right.
the end of the weekend? So if you doubled it and made it $2,000, and you got to look at that for a whole weekend, and you go, well, I mean, yeah, I'd do maybe I'd do it for 2,000. That's where this is at, right?
Right.
If the end result could only be $2,000, it's only what it could be. Then you're like,
It's not.
oh, maybe
We're
I'll stay
talking
home.
about 10 grand, or we're talking about 5 grand.
That's what.
And
So that's what that's
right.
it.
So you
So
make that at the end, you have
you're
an
agreeing
extra
with me though,
5.
Jeff. You're
No,
agreeing with me.
I'm
Yes,
saying
you are.
you have 15K. You give 10 to the winner. You spread out the other 5 is all I'm saying. That way there's a little bit of extra, and then you're
But
making
you
it to
gotta
where
secure the main
Right.
draw first.
Right.
Once
Right.
you've secured that, then people want to be there more. Now you can get more sponsorship. That's when you can start paying everybody else. But you got to keep the number one the number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you
It'd
just
be like
here's the deal. People really like the way the Ocean State did theirs, right? They gave a lot of good money and they spread it out. It worked out, like just saying, it worked out for them the past year. They've gotten a lot, of support from that, and they had the best fighters there, right? Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, you're only making money if someone's picking up your travel bill. That's true. And so a tournament like this
Mhm.
isn't a sponsored event. It isn't it's still new. Next year, I bet you they're going to going maybe some teams will start going to this if they know exactly, what's going on. So
well, it sounds like we're gonna see this money like this for years to come. So this is a good thing. All
all
right.
right, here's the deal. So
What's
we
up?
talked about how to pay, your opinion on how to pay. What were some of the other biggest payouts we've seen? And then I'm gonna get to my story of some crazy ones.
I mean, biggest payouts. You gotta remember, like I was in the era where there wasn't a lot of big payouts. You know, all the big payouts, really, Jeff, were before us. Those are the big payouts.
Yeah, exactly.
We should really, we should
The other thing
we should have
was
Conroy for
the
this one because he's seen it all.
oh yeah, there were some big payouts in there. In this year again. Yep, we've had some Vice City 10K, Ocean State with theirs. Bristol Open has given the past years 10K.
I mean, Kumite Classic did that 10K team fighting thing
Yes, but
years
they also
ago.
did. Yeah, but they also did before that too, where it was an open weight and they gave a
The
lot of money.
Rolex was a good Rolex, Mike. It was a
Yes.
really good Rolex. There was no cash. That's the other thing. There was no cash involved. It was just the Rolex, which was pretty dope because guys really went for it just to have it. I mean, I think the last year Charlie did it, there was diamonds in it.
So here's one thing. We're saying a lot of events that did that for fighting. So literally right now, I believe, I don't know. The only one I can go back to is, the year that Budweiser sponsored. I don't know how much they gave forms, right? So maybe we could see what it was. I think 86. So maybe like Keith Hirabayashi or Charlie won. I don't know how much they won for that. I'd love to hear what those payouts were for forms. But literally right now, looking at it, Diego could have won the biggest payout ever for a forms competitor at an open tournament ever. The only person that I could think of that was close, because I don't know how much a Suzuki sidekick was back in 1999. Okay. But John Valera won 2 of them at a tournament in Vegas. That was a viewed tournament in Vegas. Remember the story that Mike P won the fighting one, and then Valera won the weapons and the forms one. And so he turned those in for cash, kind of the same way I did. Like for me and Corky Sykes, we were up there as the biggest payouts for forms for a long time.
Yeah.
Because we had those motorcycles, right, that we won for winning. And, so that was a big one. But but yeah, I would say the sidekicks, I mean, I'd have to say at least 10K back then, at least. So
Yeah.
to me, it's that. And then you would say, I mean, dude, Diego,
What?
like, it's crazy.
I think Diego's probably got the biggest.
Oh, yeah.
But what were some of those? Didn't some of those trick battles, didn't some of those have like some pretty good cash prize? I feel like they did.
Maybe the Red Bull one, but I don't think it was that big. But yeah, so I mean, I think really for a forms competitor, like that's history, so congrats.
Yeah.
To all three of you guys, and also just, again, for the quality competitors that Diego competed against. So it's pretty cool. All right. Oh, all right. So we talked about biggest payouts. I'm going to share this story, and I may have done it before, but it's just a funny one. I shared it today. We all went to this tournament. It was in 2000 in North Carolina. And, right, Team Demo 10K. That was crazy.
Oh, the Atomics one. That's right. Thanks for the plug, Andrew.
I mean, I thought the Atomics Grand Slam was in 95.
Listen, that's for you guys to argue that. I can't confirm or deny.
Well, I mean, I know.
I do remember that Atomics had
the jacket. I found my jacket for what I won. It was 95 to 96. But anyways, all right. So we went to this tournament, and it was really like a small local tournament, but they were giving away $500 for every division, right? And so
that's nuts.
This was 2000, and I was 16. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go over there. It's a random tournament. It's not rated by anything, so I can move up and not be a big deal. And so I went down there with my instructor, Johnny Watkins, and also one of our friends and his student that was same age as me. That was Foot Harrison. So us four went down there. Also, my Taekwondo instructor, Preston Rogers, went down there. All of us went down there to compete. And we're like, all right, well, we have a group here. So no matter what, we'll all compete. We'll split. We'll come away with some money. And then we see Brian Plimple there. We see Ricky Murray there. And we get there, and then everyone's saying, oh, we're not giving this money. What do you mean? Well, there's not enough people registered. Well, it wasn't advertised that. And said, no, you need 5 people in every division to get the money. And if one of those divisions, they were trying to make it like if one of those divisions doesn't have it, even the other ones, they won't give. It was just the stupidest, craziest loophole they were trying to do to not do this, right? So we start putting our brains together and say, all right, Ricky Murray, you're doing forms with us. All right, you're going to do traditional. Yep. Brian Plimple, you're doing forms with us. All right. Like I hadn't seen Brian do a form in a long time, right? So we had 5 to 6 in every one, forms, weapons, all that. So we got the 500, we split it. That way, all of us got something. We didn't come out there empty-handed, right? Now for fighting, they didn't have a men's and women's. So they had the men and women together. And then they had like 2 divisions, a lightweight and a heavyweight. And we had people that we had pushed to fight that haven't fought in like 10 years. Okay. Like it was all over the place. Okay. But then we needed one more person. Well, they pulled one of the guys from that dojo to fight. Well, find out that he was kind of in on it, right? So they said,
in on it.
Well, he didn't pay. So they said, well, he didn't pay, so it doesn't count. Well, ask for his money.
Registered.
You let him compete. Oh, I let him compete for free, so it doesn't count. And so that one division, like I got my money for the lightweight division, but Brian and stuff, they weren't going to give it, and we were trying to do whatever. So some of us even chipped in some money, to help him at least get back home, and had some type of spending money. But it was the wildest thing, man. Like I just remember all of us just kind of, coming together, and that way everybody got something. And to me, that's what I was thinking of, like an event like this. Okay, well, here's the deal. Let's us 3 go. One of us going to win. I'm going to win. If you win all of it, all right, I'll take 4K. I'll give you 1,000. Listen, I mean,
What kind of
Just
guy
saying.
was this? Was this promoter? What kind of guy was this?
Shady guy.
You don't have to say his name.
Shady guy. I don't remember his name. I don't think he is around anymore.
So he's not
But yeah.
around. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's not around.
Yeah. It was pretty shady.
I'm assuming not well liked.
Not at that time, but then he came around. A lot of people started liking him again. It was
All
one of
right.
those things.
So at
Everybody
that time,
forgets
so at the
this.
time, he's not well liked. He's already a shady guy. He's not
Yeah.
around anymore.
Yeah.
I would have been pretty upset.
Oh yeah.
And I
was
think,
upset.
but I'm also a dealer, right? I'm gonna find a deal somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think what I might have done, you did it probably a more tactical way than I would have thought to. I think I would have just went like, okay, I understand your position. I don't agree with it because I think you're a shady guy, and I think what you're trying to do is cut people out, and I think you're trying
Right.
to, swindle them. When here I am, and now I'm stuck here. So let's make a deal. How about, since we already know that us standing here, we're gonna win whatever prize money you have. You know
Right.
that too. Why don't we do this? We'll save you the embarrassment of us destroying your school, because now we're upset. Now we're not just going to win, we're going to hurt people. So to save this, why don't you let's just call it a deal, cut the money in half, give us half the prize money now. You save half of all of the prize money, and we don't even have to compete. We'll go away. Or we're going to strong arm it. We're going to strong arm you now.
Oh my God.
We're getting this money, and we're going to hurt people.
Dude.
That's what I would have done. I probably wouldn't have been successful, but I would have been pissed off.
Listen, I don't think me as a 16-year-old would have been doing
No, you
that.
couldn't have. Brian could have done that though. Brian Plumple, he totally could have.
I'm not going to say the conversations that Brian had with the promoter.
Could you imagine like the intimidation that because Brian's got that scowl,
Right.
like that little furrowed brow too. That like when he gets in there, it looks like he's got like when he gets like scowly, it looks like Greg Betlock with that friggin' like caveman like brow.
Oh man. All right. So the next big thing is we Point Fire's done a lot of stuff. They were big at this tournament. Yep. They've been sharing a lot of things going on, and they put out a great post about, hey, Coach Conroy is free agent. Mm-hmm. What is Coach Conroy's future? Mike Conroy, we all call him Coach because he's my coach, but
he's coach.
He's coach. And so who are some of the, all right, let's start first. What's a team we would like to see him with? And then if maybe it's not necessarily a team that already exists, the next thing would be, who would we like to see him piece together as a team?
I think that's what I'd like to see first. And I think that's where he's going to be best. We're coming up on the end of the year. And I'm going to quote one of my good friends, Hamid Feruzzi, right? When he was asked to join a couple of teams that he didn't join. And one of the teams he was on folded. Let's say I think it was like Wazaroo, right? Or like folded or something like that. And I'm like, dude, don't you wish you would have taken yada team? And he goes, I don't got to worry about that. I got Conroy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, your team no longer exists. And he goes, you have Conroy, you always have a team. I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Just you being with that one guy, you've been a part of like 7 teams, right? So yeah, that totally makes sense. There's always something. And let's go back. It's not a crazy long time ago when Full Circle ended.
Yeah.
And people forget how big that team was, not just in numbers of members, but in like personality and in dominance. Like Full Circle was it, right? So when it ended, they were such a tight-knit group that they were like, I don't know, what do we do, guys? And they were Conroy told them all, he's like, hey, I can say this because I've been told by all of them that this is how this story went down, right? It's like, you guys want to go join a team, you're more than welcome. You're going to get offers. People are going to ask you if you want to go here, you want to go there, go do it. And I think like Jason Grenier was getting an offer like right then at that moment. I think so was Ross Levine. And so then they were like, Ross Levine was already on the Impex thing at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then, and I think they all just kind of said, you know what, we like what we got going on. Let's try to keep things in house. And they did this. What are they? Alliance. That's right.
Yeah. Alliance.
I was even on that thing for a cup of coffee. All right.
Yeah. So Alliance, and then eventually that turned into Hayabusa.
Right.
So all those guys coming around again.
Right. Which that's an example of like, well, who was the one mainstay with all of that? It was Conroy, right? A bunch of faces changed, but not him, right?
Yeah.
So
then a lot of those guys went to KTOC. Now, then a lot of those guys, some of those guys moved to Diamond, G3, right? So yeah, I mean,
so I think rather that sure, if a team was like, hey, Conroy, we got this team, we'd love for you to be the coach of the team. Sure. Right. It all depends on the culture of that team. Like, I don't think that could work with Paul Mitchell because Damon's there. Right. Like, that would be, then it's like, then there's not a point. Like, who is the coach then? Is it Conroy or Damon? Like, that wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that was the main thing here, was there was 3 coaches, So.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is all very good.
Yeah.
But so what do you do?
Right.
But let's look at this. What are some names? I thought about some names. It's like, hey, who are some people out there that I don't know? Could they be had to, like, maybe they would join another team, or maybe they'd on another team? And I'm not advocating for people leaving teams. I just look at like, hey, what could be what could be done? And I'm not about to go say something like
Conroy, right? Who would grow being on a team with Coach Conroy, right?
And spoiler alert, I'm not going to say names like Cam Dawson, Avery Plowden, Enrique Latona. Those names, Bailey Murphy. Those names are not talked about, right? Those are not names that are going to be talked about. So, but there are some that are like, hey, I think this guy could be really good. And someone that I think he coached before, I don't know how much he coached with him, but I think Justice Floyd would be really good with Conroy. I mean, you got to look at it like, I think the type of fighter that would be really good for him, there's a few of them, right? Well, number one, let me tell you this. If you think you know your shit and you're like, I know what, I don't need anybody, you're not going to do well with him, right? So if you're going to start thinking like, no, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, that's not going to go well, right? You need to just, and so many people do understand this, that like, I don't really understand. I may not understand what he's telling me to do, but I'm just going to do it. Right. And he's earned that respect, that people should just be like, you know what? I don't know it. Right. I was told that was, and that was ingrained in me at a freaking purple belt. Right. That someone behind me is telling me to do something. I may think that is retarded. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry if that's not PC. Right. But like, it doesn't matter. They see something I don't see. Not only does Conroy see something you don't see, he knows a lot you don't know, right? So I think he's earned that respect. So Justice Floyd is someone I think would do really good. I think I could see Casey in Montgomery, someone like him. I could see him being good. There's some guys that got some talent that I'm like, I don't know how well they do. Like, there's this kid on ATL. He's really good. But then I'm like, I don't want to take someone away from like Marcel Lazenby. But this kid, Traden, he's really good. Oh, it's a sidebar, right? So my daughter's into gymnastics, right? Listen to this. And she's pretty good. No. Listen to this. So she wants there's no such thing as kids watching shows anymore. They just want to watch YouTube videos about other kids on YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
And every time I come in the living room and I'm like, shut it off. They're like, you don't even know what we're watching. And I'm like, exactly, shut it off. Right. And I go and they're watching freaking Traden. And he's not even doing karate.
What?
And I'm like, I see the kid and he's like, hi, my name's Traden. And he's out there just doing like a tumbling pass. I'm like, like in normal like workout clothes, not even karate. And I'm like, what the heck? What? Stop, pause. Someone pause this, right? I'm like, what are you watching? Right. And then she's like, oh, is this trading kid? He's really good, Dad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and I have to be like, I'm like, Lou, he's a black belt. You understand this, right? Like, no, he's not. He's a gymnast. And I'm like, stop. Right. So anyway, but I think he could be someone that's really good if we're looking at kids, because I think it's kind of trending that way now too.
Yeah.
You know, I think Alonzo Payne could be really good for him. I think Casey Montgomery could be good. Well, I think his star fighter would be Mason Bumba, 100%. And I'm gonna tell you right now, top 10 USA, they didn't fight him last team fights, right?
Right.
Dude, Conroy should call him up and lead with that conversation. Be like, they didn't even put you out there. I'll put you as my anchor fighter right now.
Oh
right?
man.
I'm not advocating for people jumping teams. All right.
Right.
Like that kid Diego. I really like that kid on Straight Up. Right.
Yeah.
Again, not advocating people leaving teams. I'm just thinking of styles of fighters that would be really good with him. Right.
Or have been maybe even in the past.
What? Yeah. I mean, you're gonna say someone like John Curatolo. Duh.
Yeah.
Freaking duh. You know, like, yeah, obviously he's gonna be good, but he's too busy being a dad, so he's not gonna come out.
Right.
What's happening, John? Anybody that pops in your head?
Not really. I mean, I think of Justice Floyd. I think of like a fighter. I mean, honestly, it was really cool seeing Sandro Peters with him. You know, that was cool. You know, at Ocean State. You know, maybe some European guys, or I mean, for me, I always think of Canada. Man, I always think Canada. You know, I think
Canada. Yes, Europeans. No.
You know, I think that you know, like
I don't think he wants to do the Europeans.
Well, what I'm saying is, I think I think you show up to Toronto and you start scouting. You know, I think you show up to KTOC, you start scouting. You know, but the same thing, he has to have a sponsor. So, hey, sounds like
wait, does he though?
Yeah, I mean, he would need that.
Does he? Think about that. Think of what we just talked about. He's had teams without sponsors before that he's just put guys together and has told them, like, listen, guys, we're working on something. We don't have it quite yet.
Yeah, but knowing
when
Conroy
we do,
now, it's different.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think going to these events would be cool. Heck, sounds like Builders may be a good company to somebody.
I think honestly, I really, Jeff, I don't think you're wrong. Think about what you just said, right? So, like, okay, KTOC, they're a karate tournament,
right?
So it makes sense to continue to put that tournament's name out to sponsor a team so that you're constantly advertising the tournament. The team is advertising the tournament.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it make sense if Builders came out with a team as well?
Right.
You know? So,
yeah. All right, we're getting close.
What about
what?
I think Brianna Nurse.
Okay. That would be an interesting one.
Oh, I think she would be really well. I think her style of fighting would be really good.
I also think someone like a Jasmine or someone would be good with him.
Peyton Fender.
Yeah. You know. So definitely a lot of options there. So should be fun. What happens with him? One more thing that happened, not
Brett's got
this weekend, the weekend before, was that we saw what we call it the greatest of all time. I mean, for right now, is Raymond Daniels competing at Jack Felton's tournament, having some fun, sparring in the old guys division, hanging out, having some fighting in a t-shirt. What'd you think, man?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love
Oh
it.
yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's there's a reason why there's a 30 plus and a 40 plus and beyond division. There's a reason. And it's not that like guys on our side of the age can't beat
Right.
the guys who are 26. That is not the case.
Consistently though.
It right, but it's also it's that listen, there's you there is such thing as losing a step, right? That's a real thing, right? Reaction time like diminishing, that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
The biggest eye-opening thing that I saw it like happen for me was my ability to cover ground
Mm-hmm.
offensively and defensively like got cut
Yeah.
in half, right?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I can't do anything that I do now. Everything I do has to change now because the thing that we do, space is the most important thing when we fight, right? Where you are, it's distance timing, but you're spacing, right? Distance, where you are, right? It's number one, right? So, like, where, but Ray makes it look like he's not actually human. Like I watched him in his last karate combat, right? I could kind of see like, all right, there's a little bit of the reaction time is not what we saw a couple of years ago, but like I'm still watching someone that shouldn't be doing like this. This should not be happening, right?
Right.
So to see him out there competing, to even have heard that like you're gonna fight again, right?
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. I love it, right?
Yeah,
It ain't like and nobody handcuffed him on the rules and said you couldn't knock someone out in the first 3 rounds. Just saying.
Wow.
Just saying.
Wow.
You all watched the Mike Tyson fight. And you were all embarrassed as well.
Yes. Anyways, so for me, I think the biggest thing is that when you get to a certain age is that you said your distance. For me, it's that everything hurts now when things didn't used to hurt. Like a lot of the wear and tear over the years of things are accumulating, right? Yes,
I don't know how you've held it together.
My jumping ability isn't there, but I never had great hops like anyway. So that wasn't like, but it's like things hurt more when I kick now. Like it really does hurt when I kick, so there are things like that. So, but I'm not done yet, so it's okay. But I'm just saying, like
martial arts world, he's
that
not
is
done
something.
yet, but he's already saying there's mortality in these hips. You guys better start. If you want to see him out there competing at your event for maybe the last time, you guys better get him there.
Thanks, Alex. All right.
No, Mike, I'm not saying I was embarrassed for Mike. I was just embarrassed for like, aren't you embarrassed? Like just for the whole like theatrics of it.
Right.
Like
Right.
it was anybody says that this is not rigged is messed up,
So like for me, bro, they packed 70,000 in that building, bro.
Who says no
have
to money? I get it.
They have one of the top 3 most viewed sports events in history. The top female sports event ever viewed. Like, yo, I don't care. Like this dude knows how to. This dude knows how to run shot, run the game. This dude is a business.
Which dude?
Jake Paul and his buddy and his co-promoter. They know
Okay,
what
let's say Jake Paul and his co-promoter. No, I'm gonna.
What?
Go ahead then. Go ahead.
But also they were smart. They know when you put Tyson up there, people want to watch.
That's it.
People want to see it. Yeah,
because they couldn't have got that money fighting anybody other. They couldn't have got that kind of money fighting. The only other person they could have got would have been like Floyd.
Right, but at the same time, dude, like it's not like this is the first. Yes, this is one of the biggest ones, but it's not like he hasn't done this for a while. Like he's been making good money, big money for a while now. So
I'm all for him doing it this way, and I'm all for him doing like this is not a sanctioned event. This is literally just a prize fight, which is that's what boxing is.
Well,
Anybody wants
this fight, yeah, it was weird that it was sanctioned. I wouldn't even call it really sanctioned, but
it's
yeah.
not saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Like anybody was like, oh well, it's not like the WBO or it's not that like it doesn't. It's all prize fighting. That's all what it is. If you're gonna go all the way back over 100 years ago,
Bro, boxing is
you got two schmoes in the ring,
first.
right? The people making the most money at that point were the people betting on them, right?
Yeah.
So now, but you get, hey, I'll give you $20 if you go out there and punch this guy in the nose. Done, right? And so anyway, so you got boxing, there's still prize fighting, right? So that's what this is.
Yeah.
But when you have to put rules and handicap things, like you can't do this, you got to do this, which I suppose you're able to do because then you're not sanctioned by this thing or that thing. Like don't spit on us and call it rain. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's it's not real prize fighting is what it is. It's not real prize fighting. Is there anybody would you want to see? Like what would you see the martial arts equivalent of? Right? I don't want to get into the boxing as martial arts, but what would be the martial arts equivalent of what we just saw?
I don't know if there is an equivalent because we don't really have someone a personality like Jake Paul. I mean, really, maybe who's someone that is causing a ruckus in the sport karate world right now?
I wasn't even thinking sport karate. I was thinking more just like martial arts.
Oh, you mean like mixed martial arts?
Or kickboxing or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it would be like seeing, let's just say, I mean, we got to say Raymond or someone like AP bringing them back, right? To fight, or let's say Jody. Okay. Jody's older. You know, Jody could still go out and fight, right?
I think it would be, I think the equivalent would be Jody.
Yeah. So you put Jody out there and then what? You maybe put him with someone who, person I think of is Mason Bumba, honestly, because he has caused a stir lately, you know, in the sport, just with his attitude, his people may say he hits, people, there's just been a lot of that. So I think that would be an interesting thing. But I still think
I'm not sure Mason would win that one.
That would just be an interesting one, right? So
I like Mason Bumba. I'm not sure he's coming out with a dub. And I haven't seen Jody fight in years.
Right, but I'm just saying
that's the way we look at that.
Like I kind of feel like bad even putting Mason in there because I don't like, to me he's more talented of a fighter than Jake Paul is. So, and has gone against way more high level competitors than Jake Paul is. Like there's not anyone like that's going to like maybe someone that's like going to like local tournaments and is winning, and then comes in and says, "Hey, I'm gonna." I don't know how to.
Jake Paul fights 5'9" basketball champions, right?
Well, he did that once, but he fights mostly like MMA fighters that are past their prime.
He fights.
So,
yeah,
and yes, Jody is still beast. Like that's what I mean. I think Jody.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that would be.
What if it was like in the
me, Jody and Raymond are the ones that would still draw a big, like. People would like to see that, even though, like, let's just say, like, Bailey versus them right now wouldn't be the fight that you would want to see, right? But just for fun and kick, like, it would just be cool to see them in the ring together, right? I mean, it's like when we finally got, like Raymond versus Nasty, right? It wasn't the one that we wanted to see, it wasn't, but it was still cool that he could say he went against Nasty, right? He went against Kevin Thompson, like that type of stuff is cool.
So, when I think of the full contact world, I think like, what if I'm sure their weights would be close, but what if Mike Page fought GSP?
That's a weird one. Why that one though?
Because Mike Page is Mike Page, right? He is out there. He does the whole bit. He will find a way to be a little bit in your face and a little bit disrespectful, and GSP don't go for that.
Yeah,
And their
but GSP
styles
respect.
their styles are kind of similar that I think I'd like to see it. I think I'd just like to see
No,
it.
that would be a fun one. I mean, GSP respects his style because I mean, he still says that Raymond is the best striker he's seen, on the planet. So he says, like he is one of the best that I've ever seen. So like when he said create your best fighter, he included Raymond Daniels in there, right? Right. That's I agree there, Michael. You're right. So that would be interesting. I mean,
And
for
there's
me,
no one equivalent to. There's no one like Mike Tyson. There's nobody in
no,
any sport of any time. There's no Mike
oh,
Tyson.
they did. No, no, no. I mean, for me, at one point, Chuck Liddell was like that for MMA. Knocking people out in the way. He became a really like fast. Like he was the face of the sport for a few years.
Mhm.
But the thing is, the sport was still relatively new. Wasn't bringing in that type of money.
It was growing.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the only thing would be if you get like a young fighter against Conor McGregor in 10 years. Because Conor is a high level. Like you put his name on there, you're making money. So
I mean, I wouldn't be upset to see that.
no, the one I saw today was that Nikki Holson put, "Hey, all right, Jake, time to step up, fight a real fighter." That would be interesting, even though he's a lot smaller, but still, Nick. I would like to see. All right, all right, he's done a
But see,
lot.
that's another thing. That's another thing. Nikki would lose.
Oh yeah, right.
You
But
know why
here's
Nikki would lose? Nikki would lose because, and I don't want to discount Nikki's boxing because Nikki's a really good boxer. All right. But he's not a boxer. He's a kickboxer.
correct. But
It's-
here's the thing with the boxing. I feel like the kickboxing is where they actually need to go next if he's trying to fight some other people that aren't boxers.
He's
Why not?
He's just because he's just gonna throw. He's gonna say because he's gonna find kickboxer XYZ,
Right.
right, and be like, "Here, I want you to come fight me."
Well,
And
the
they're gonna be
thing
like,
is with
"No, you got to come do this." Like, what if he fought Alistar Overeem?
yeah, that would be freaking nuts.
What if he fought Alistar Overeem? Right?
That
That you see what I'm saying? But then you get to the point where how old is Alistar Overeem? He's got to be 50
Yeah, definitely.
easily.
I
right?
mean, who the heck, man? We're in a whole nother realm right now with kickboxing, but this is a great thing. It's like who's gonna beat Rico, bro? Is anyone gonna beat Rico Verhoeven?
You know what? The only guy I was cheering for, was probably that ain't gonna happen. Was Badahari.
And that didn't happen.
He's my favorite, but no.
Rico's, man, that dude's
Rico, and here's the thing: it happens every now and then as a heavyweight kickboxer, where there's one of you or there's two of you. But there's like two of you that are like you're just freaking badass, right?
right.
And then there's a bunch of others, you know. But it happens sometimes in boxing, when there's just one guy, and then there's just nobody else who's even close, right? And I think Rico's in a time where it's like, is he gonna get another good fight?
Right.
His prime is being wasted surely by the fact that there are no other equivalent kickboxers in the world.
They're doing a heavyweight Grand Prix. K1 is, I think, next month. So that's gonna be interesting. I know Errol Zimmerman's fighting in that, so that should be cool.
That out.
I mean, dude, I'm a big K1 fan. I really wish,
I
and
can't.
honestly, that's why I'm a big fan of One, just because I love watching the Muay Thai fights that they do, man.
Yeah.
Like watching Super Lek is one of like that dude's just amazing. So,
But that's what it's got to be. It'll have to be someone like that. It'll have to be someone like Alistar Overeem,
yeah,
to go out there. Like someone like him, maybe he can be bought, because I don't care what anybody says. There's none of these fights are real fights. They're just
no.
they're shows, right? But and I'm not totally upset about that, because you're paying your ticket of admission, and this is entertainment. And here's the entertainment. Yes, you do get a little upset because you think that there's a little bit of reality in this, and that's what sports is.
I mean, he did
sports.
lose. He did lose a fight, so that was probably set to make it to where people.
This is
had a little
possible.
hope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
had
had
hope.
to. He had to. Otherwise, it couldn't continue. So,
Yeah.
But that's what sports is supposed to be. Sports is the truest version of reality TV, right? But this is the only thing that's actually real. There is no script. We have no clue what's about to happen in this moment. It's just happening, right? And I guess some part of that's being taken away from everyone because no, it's kind of scripted, but
Right.
whatever. You're being
All right,
entertained.
last thing. KTOC presents Sport Karate Confessions. You know what? While we're on like other sports and other, I'm gonna just go with sport martial art. I mean, actually, no, like MMA, kickboxing. Like, have a confession. Like my favorite. We're just gonna do this. This isn't like a big groundbreaking, thing. But my favorite MMA fighter was BJ Penn. All right. And I love BJ Penn because
The most
BJ,
non-martial artist dude was your favorite.
dude, he was one of my favorites, man. He was just a badass. Dude,
Didn't he
this
just pick people up and just like slam them against cages and throw them?
I don't know what you're talking about. This dude was a lightweight. Who was he picking up and slamming against cage? No. You're thinking of somebody different, bro. BJ Penn's from Hawaii. BJ Penn was like the first person to get their black belt in like 3 years in jiu-jitsu. And then he was the first American to win the world jiu-jitsu.
No, I'm totally thinking of somebody else. No, you're
Yeah.
right. No, I remember.
And then this guy loses the lightweight championship, moves up to welterweight, wins the welterweight championship, and decides, hey, I'm not going to keep fighting for UFC. I'm going to go to Japan, make some money. I'm going to move up to heavyweight and fight Lyoto Machida, and should have won that.
Crazy.
And then fight one of the Gracies. And I mean, this dude was just nuts. He was just a straight up badass. And then he finally had the run of a lifetime when he was the lightweight champion. And I mean, some say that GSP was cheating when he fought him, with the whole greasing himself up and putting a lot of baby oil on him and stuff, right? But
that's not cheating.
Hey,
no, that's not. That is not. No, I don't care. I will defend that. I will stand there. I remember watching multiple. I would be in the back rooms because when you go to like semi-pro level, like pro level kickboxing fights, like in the 90s, you could go back like at the ring and they're just in a room, just right outside the seats, right? They're in a ballroom. And you know what they do? They put Vaseline all over themselves. Both sides.
Yeah.
Right. So someone's saying like, oh, he cheated by putting baby oil on him. Like everybody does that. That's that's within the rules. You're allowed to do that.
No, it's just supposed to be on your face. Not
no.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I watched it with my eyes multiple times.
Maybe you're going to a weird, a weird
group,
like where they like, maybe you and your weird friends. I don't know.
We're weird friends.
Let me stop. I was about to say something inappropriate. All right. What are you going to? Like the Chippendale MMA fighting?
That's actually pretty good.
All right.
That's pretty funny.
You got one for me?
Sorry, I have one. Yeah. I do. I've had a number of them that I've been thinking of dropping here. Okay.
Agrees, man.
Yes, I actually here's one of them that I was going to say. So, sport karate confessions. So, when we that's weird, Troy. That's weird. Actually, no, Troy, you don't want to, because the person I saw was Scott, so you can't say that. So
go ahead.
Let's not say that. Anyway, so when we travel to tournaments, and we talked a lot about traveling today. All right. Sometimes we know exactly like how we're going to get to the hotel. Sometimes we know or how we're going to get to the convention center, what our sign of travel is going to be, how we're going to do everything. And sometimes you're like, I don't know, let's just freaking get to the city and figure it out. Right. So, my dad decided he was going to come with to the compete nationals. So I've now decided I did like 2000 was the first year. I'm like, I'm going to do a bunch of tournaments. All right. So 2001, I just said like, I am a competitor. Like I did like 8 NASCAR tournaments. Like this is what I am now. I'm doing this. I got seated. Here I am. I'm doing this. This is what I am. So when I went, I'm like, Dad, does Adam want to come with me? My little brother. I'm like, if you get him a flight, if you give me the money, I'll get him the flight. Yes, you're right. I was thinking of that. All right. I'll just pay for him. Here's where we're gonna go. So like, cool. So we're flying. We're going to Ontario. So he goes, well, where's the tournament? And so I tell him, I'm like, it's in well, at that time it wasn't in there, it was in Pomona, right?
Yeah, Pomona, yeah.
So he goes, okay, where is it? I was like, it's in Pomona, California. It's like in Southern California. He goes, okay, Southern California. And he goes, you know what? I bought my tickets. I'm gonna come too. I'm like, really? This is awesome, Dad. And I'm like, are you on the same flight? And he goes, yeah, I'm flying out same time as you guys. I'm like, wait, are you on the same flight or is it just at the same time? He's like, same thing. No, Dad. No, that's not the same thing. He is flying out of LAX, right?
Flying into LA. Yeah.
Or flying into LAX. So very different, very, very different, not even close.
Yeah.
So then it was a whole fiasco of where he had to get in a cab to come to us. Now, my dad is the most Minnesotan minded man ever. So he really thinks that's like, yeah, let's get in a cab. It's, 20 miles away. Probably take me 25, 30 minutes max. Right. In LA, this is what he's thinking. 4.5 hours later, he arrives at the airport. Right. So he has no concept for what travel is like in other areas of the country. Right. I told you about the time when we were in the south side of Chicago. Didn't I tell you that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was freaking crazy. I gave you the Cliff Notes version of that one.
No,
so that
yeah,
was crazy. Flying and you have just flying in and having no clue where the heck you're going. And we were subjected to that. But what are you gonna do?
That's insane.
Have you ever done that where you flew into the wrong place? I gotta imagine when you people have done that multiple times going to DC because there's Reagan and Dallas, they're right there.
Right. I'm trying to show you something stupid that I just realized I have the dumbest, but kind of a funny sport. I just broke a sport karate confession. So,
okay.
One of the things I would do, and I guess I was maybe a little ADHD and didn't realize it when I was a kid, trying to find like a pin, but I just broke the top. Anyways, so at school, I would chew on my pins, and I would kind of pull, the little tab to the side and make sure it was, bent. And then what I would have would be a kicker that I would work on my 540s on in my head in combinations with a pin at my desk.
Wait, what? A kicker?
I mean, like this is the leg, and I would use the pin and I would pop 540, land. And so I'm sure I was annoying. I was the annoying kid next to me, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm doing butterfly twist, and I'm doing pop.
You're just imagining it in your head.
And I'm doing backside 1080s, and I'm doing aerials, and I'm doing whatever. And with the chewed up pin, that was and that's what I'm doing. I mean, if I had the pop one, that was really the worst, right? So like before, I guess that was what was the fidget spinner thing? That was my fidget where I would and I would just be imagining like, oh, this is a cool combo. I'm going to try this when I get back. And I did that probably from age 10 to probably high school, right? And then there's that. I did that with a pin. When I was younger, like I had the old like little G.I. Joes, and I would do that. I would do 540s and with those.
Everybody did that.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody did that. Those action figures.
I came up with a bunch of combos from my pin, and
I've never done it with a pen. I've done it with a Ninja Turtle, never with a pen.
And then when I didn't have that, it became my fingers that I would. I mean, it was
I
just
always did that.
yeah. So yeah, man. So I just kind of thought, hey, that's a silly one to confess to, but yeah.
I got a good one. I got a good one for next week. It's too late. It's too deep to be going now. I got a
Yes,
good one for
yes.
next week.
All right, guys. So thank you to KTOC. Everyone, go out and support them this Sunday. So you still have
You got plenty of time.
7 days. Yeah,
Get yourself
go
there.
ahead, schedule it, get up there. It's going to be a great tournament, one of the best ones, especially on the East Coast. So get out there and support that. And thank you for all you do, Diaz's family, for supporting our sport.
Thanks, Sue. Thank Rick.
All right, let's do this.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week. God bless you all.